The six principles of the Constitution. There are six important principles of the Constitution that you need to know. The first one is limited government. A lot of people talk about small government, but the Founding Fathers really wanted limited government, so there wouldn't be one powerful branch of government over the others, so there wouldn't be government that takes control of the states or over the people. So limited government was extremely important to the Founding Fathers. Number two, popular sovereignty. That means the Constitution basically got its power from the people, that the people basically give the government the power, and the people can actually take away the power. People have to approve of the government, and basically we see that in voting, we see that in the power of the states, we see that in local government, and there are ways that we can actually change government and change things by power of the people. Separation of powers. This was important because England had, yes, it had a judiciary and had an executive and legislature were together. So they felt to limit government more than what happened in England, you need to separate the executive, the legislative, and the judicial and have three co-equal branches of government where each branch was responsible for doing one separate part. So we always learned that the legislative will create the laws, the executive will carry out the laws, and then the judicial will interpret the laws. They have different functions. Now, checks and balances is another way to get us limited government and to basically keep one branch of government from being too powerful. So you have different ways where Congress can check the president. So Congress can override a president's veto. Congress can approve one of the president's nominees, like the Senate has the power of consent for approving treaties or to approve a judge or an ambassador. The president can veto a law. The president can basically do an executive order, an executive agreement that kind of goes around the legislative branch. Of course, the Supreme Court can actually strike down a law from Congress or strike down an executive order from the president. Federalism is the idea of getting limited government and separating the powers between the national government, state government, and local government. We look at national and state as the biggest one. The Constitution has express powers that are expressly written for the national government. There are reserved powers for the states. There are concurrent powers which both the state and the federal government have, and then there's basically powers denied the federal government and powers denied the states. Then there's judicial review. It's kind of like what I already mentioned, one of the checks on the branches. The Supreme Court and the courts actually can actually strike down a law, and they can strike down an executive order or an executive agreement to strike down some kind of action by the legislative branch or the executive branch and say that's unconstitutional. Now, what should happen is the bill or the law should go back to the Congress or to the state to actually fix. A lot of times the legislative branch decides not to do that, and basically that's where we say the legislative branch creates a law of gay marriage. Is one such instance where the Supreme Court said the state laws are unconstitutional and nothing's done. Well, really what should go back is that those bills should go back to the state, and the state should change them and make those laws actually constitutional, and they should write in their state constitution or their state, like Arizona said, law, marriages between a man and a woman. Well, Arizona then would go back and change that to make it constitutional based on what the Supreme Court said. So these are the six principles of the Constitution. They're very important. They'll be on any Constitution test, and they're basics on what we deal with in the Constitution and how we look at our government. So these are limited government, popular sovereignty, separation of powers, checks and balances, federalism, and judicial review. Make sure you know these, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask about these, and you can post online or ask in class.